This episode of Capes and Lunatics is brought to you by Tweaked Audio. Get awesome headphones, go to tweakedaudio.com and use the coupon code Southgate to get 30% off, free shipping, and a lifetime warranty. Or you can get there through the link on our website, southgatemediagroup.com.
Avast me hearties, and welcome once again to Full Stream Ahead. I'm your captain, Charlie the Professor Esser, and with me as always is me first mate and skinny rich friend.
It's Mozz.
Welcome back, Mozz, and welcome once again to Full Stream Ahead, tonight's episode of The Boys, Season 2, Episode 2, Proper Preparation and Planning. Butcher is back with the boys, but tensions flare with Huey Homelander. But tensions flare with Huey, period. Homelander spends quality time with his new family. Starlight and Stormfront bond at a press junket, and the boys hunt down a super terrorist with a startling identity. Liz Friedlander is our director this week. Rebecca Shine gets our written by credit. Eric Kripke gets our developed by, and of course Garth Ennis and Derek Robertson get our based on the comic book by credit. All right. So let's see here. Yeah. So Butcher is back, as it says. And when we first see him, we see him waking up in the, what is it, the Tony Ravioli or Tony,
Tony Cicero's.
Tony Cicero's, that's right. Tony Cicero's, which is clearly a chain, Olive Garden-esque, well, maybe not Olive Garden-esque, but a chain Italian restaurant.
What's that, Romano's Macaroni Grill or something like that?
Yeah, it's something like that. It's something. They clearly serve pizza there too, so it's it might be like a pizzeria Uno. I don't know, but it is Tony Cicero's. He's in a parking lot in, I think they say he's in Nebraska. And because this is where Homelander dropped him off after the fact, and he's trying to write down what he remembers from when he got to Rebecca's house briefly, what he writes, where the wind was coming from, where the sun is in the sky, what kind of trees were around. And then he looks up and realizes that his face is on the 6 o'clock news as the person who killed Madeline. And then we cut back to the boys in the basement, where, as it turns out, Frenchie called Butcher, because apparently he had Butcher's number, which I did not realize. But
yeah, I guess he was just leaving him alone because he knew he needed to be left alone, or
I guess so. Well, yeah,
Butcher's a big boy, he can take care of himself, kind of deal,
Yeah, and so he had called him in, and he was back to sort of solve all the problems, which makes Huey mad because Huey felt like he was growing into something, sort of seeing himself as kind of a leader, but he really wasn't.
Right.
And that, of course, I guess is its own circular problem there, is that, Huey's sitting there thinking he's the leader, and it's like, you're not the leader, Huey. At best, you're the sidekick, and for the most part, we're just trying to get through this, and you are not, you're not a soldier, you're not even a guy who sells stereo equipment anymore. Yeah. So, they do get Butcher back. He suggests they go to Mallory, or does he suggest they go to Mallory, or does he just go to Mallory on his own?
I don't know. I think he goes to Mallory on his own.
Yeah, or actually, what he says is, I know what we'll do. Is you're going to love it. And Huey says, I never do. and he says, duly noted. And it is Mallory, and of course, Butcher kind of talks out of the side of his ass to get Mallory to sign on with him again. Because Mallory has half a mind to just turn him in for the reward. But, they both know what the danger is that they're facing. So they do agree to work together on this, with going to get Rebecca out and, have her testify against Vought.
Yeah.
Trying to remember. Meanwhile, back over at Vought, Gecko has procured for Starlight the serum that they needed, the sample of Compound V. And she is... So
an interesting moment with A-Train where...
Yes, which actually, prior to that, we found out that A-Train is out of his coma.
Right.
And A-Train is...
The last time we saw him, he was almost left for dead, right? And he had walked in on Starlight helping the boys.
Yes, and then he
had
to
be dealt with.
Well, he had his heart attack, and then
Huey
and Starlight save him.
Right.
And that's the thing, is like he gets his heart pumping again, gives him CPR. Actually, I think Starlight actually does the whole, clear kind of thing to bring him back. But yeah, so they save his life. And at first she doesn't know what if he remembers or anything, because he does not make it clear. She's actually
and he hasn't told anybody about it yet.
Yes. He's doing so the three females, Maeve, Stormfront, and Starlight are doing a press junket and of course Maeve gets up and leaves because she gets paged. Says she has a family emergency, and then of course Starlight and Stormfront say we have family emergencies too, but they have to stay. So they stay. They do the press junket, and Stormfront's being her brash, bold self, the person that doing all the things that have made her a social media darling all these years. And then when asked about A-Train, the host says, "Well, what have I told you? A-Train is right behind you." And it gets awkward. We also see A-Train, celebrating his recovery. He has Prince's guitar, etc., etc. Says, "Oh, do you play?" It's like, "No, I just decided I wanted to have it," which is like, oh, that's dramatic foreshadowing. Because Gecko does come through, does give her the Compound V,
and he's in the process of regrowing an eyeball.
Yes.
You can just imagine what happened there.
Well, as he said, they're testing the No More Tears shampoo on him.
That's probably more the case. I thought maybe some sicko murder fantasy person said, "Hey, I want to scoop out your eye. Can I do that?"
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure he's done that too. But
that probably makes more sense that they were. Yeah.
He makes mention that they're testing, because that's what he does. They basically test stuff. They Vought Cosmetics. They test things on him. Hey, but it gets them that animal safe.
He's saving so many bunnies.
Exactly, and poor Gecko. But
they're making Stormfront a really likable character so far.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really, really liking her character so far.
Don't get attached.
She is so fun.
She is fun. She is delightful. That is intentional.
Yeah.
She is meant to be. In fact, even she does the whole Portland, Seattle thing there. And I forget which one she's actually from, but how dare you say I'm from
Seattle,
the one that I'm not from.
Right.
Because one's in Oregon and the other one's in Washington. That's right. That's the difference. Yeah, I think.
But people always confuse Portland and Seattle because they're so similar culturally.
Because honestly, it's just because it's by the coast doesn't mean it's not. It's.
Yeah.
We love you, Pacific Northwest, but yeah,
Indeed.
we don't know the difference between you two. I know you guys insist you're two separate states,
right?
But it's
there's snow, coffee, and hipsters everywhere, right?
Yeah, well, so one of them borders Canada, the other one does not.
Right.
And I think it's Washington borders Canada.
Right.
Which is,
Oregon's
Seattle.
the state below.
Oregon's the state below, which has Portland, which is where she's from. So,
yeah.
Which also means, in my mind, less cool, less hip, because it's not close to Canada. Does not have Fraser Crane. That's
no one's listening.
Exactly. No one's listening in Portland. But as it plays out, she is very likable, and she's very brash, and she's very, what does it matter? There's a quality that, when everything's revealed later, you kind of go back and you see there's a quality to her that is very much of a design of privilege, where she speaks out because she has essentially the privilege of a Karen,
right?
If you will, and that's a positive thing in its own way. It's one of these things where it's like, if you use your power for good, it's cool. If you use your power for evil, it's less so. And so the question with Stormfront is she using her power for good or for evil?
Yeah.
And we'll find out in coming episodes. As it stands, Stormfront
catches her receiving the V.
Yes.
And she's able to hide it and get away from him, but she has to hide it in Stormfront's bag.
Exactly.
Which is super scary.
Because none of them have pockets.
Right.
Which is, pockets.
A fair point.
It's always
although does Homelander have pockets?
I don't think so. No.
Right. I don't think any of them have pockets. Well, no. A-Train might have pockets.
Some of them might have pouches. Like, for example, Black Noir, I am certain, has pockets.
Yeah.
Or pouches or stuff.
Right. He's a walking utility belt.
Exactly. Black Noir is going to have the utility belt. If you don't need a utility belt, you probably don't have pockets.
Yeah.
You got to carry a bag for that. You need your Batgirl power purse.
I feel like on the inside of their capes would be a pretty convenient place to have like little pouches with like Velcro or something.
Yeah, but
like
then that's
behind their shoulders or by their shoulders, just little pouches.
That's going to interfere with if you had a cloak, that would work, but if it's just a cape, it's going to interfere with the flow of the cape. It's going to drag
a little bit. If you kept it closer to the top of it, it might have, a marginally small effect that you could compensate for.
Yeah, but then that's also going to be hard to reach because you got to reach behind your head to get it. That's, I'm saying I don't think you're better off just having a pouch. You just need a pouch. You need a belt you need a utility belt with a pouch.
Absolutely.
So you can put things in the pouch and take things out. Yeah, they did a redesign of Captain America back about the time the movie came out, where they started putting pouches on Captain America's belt. And
oh wow.
Yeah, but people point out, has he ever actually taken anything out of the pouches? Because that's the thing. He has all these pouches, but
what could he possibly have in there? Let me know.
Yeah, it's like, it'd be great if he took something out. Like, oh, good thing I have my Avengers, identity card. But usually
binoculars or something.
That's why they all used to wear jackets. All of the Avengers used to all wear jackets, and then that's where they would have their pockets.
Huh.
So really, everyone just needs to be wearing their Vought 7 jackets.
Right.
And then you have pockets for what you need. But, yeah, so, you have that very nice scene with Stormfront at the end with Starlight, where it is, them communicating and saying, and Stormfront just saying, don't confuse, nice with or polite with weak or don't confuse nice with weak or something like that. But that you can be who you are, say what you want to say, and it's good. Don't be afraid to be you, which again is a noble idea and a noble statement, and it works in this context very well. And definitely, like what you said, you're meant to be seeing Stormfront and seeing why people like her.
Right.
There is going to be more that's shown later.
Oh, sure. But yeah, they're doing a good job of it now, because watching through it, I remember going, man, what a cool character. I'm such a fan. And then, things change afterwards, but they're doing a really good job of it here.
Well, because of course I did know what Stormfront's comic book backstory.
Oh, I had no idea. I just thought, hey, this is a, badass cool chick.
Yeah, but the thing is, they have changed so many people's backstories for dramatic purposes. I was wondering, are they going to change her? Are they going to maybe make her a different kind of character, a different kind of hero? And yeah, maybe she's still going to have her own negativity and venality, but maybe they are going to throw us a curveball and not have her be, a big bad in this. And, we'll have to see how they, no spoilers here, but, in this episode, she comes off very likable, comes off as almost a mentor figure to Starlight, and it's a really beautiful moment when A-Train actually does confront Starlight about the Compound V. She really does call out A-Train, which is like, you're not going to do that, because I know, because if you were, you would have already done it. Because the fact of the matter is he was the one who was taking the V, and he was the one who blew up his own heart, and there's so many things
and killed his own girlfriend.
And killed his own girlfriend, yes.
She's like, those needles were stabbed in so hard, they broke bones, right?
Right. Yeah, it's messed up, man. And that's the thing of it, is that is how she gets A-Train to back down.
Yeah, and it's great to see her coming into her own in that respect. She's like, hey, listen, you know what I had to do the last episode? No. This is not good. You need to... And I was like, she really stood up for herself. So that was really cool to watch her come alive in that sense, too.
Yeah. And I think maybe a part of that is that, she's getting that confidence, again, from Stormfront. I think that Stormfront is putting her into a spot where she's not going to be afraid to be who she is and to be honest and to fight for what is right for her. And of course, that's how they get you.
Yeah.
It's insidious, but it's beautiful. I really, really liked what they were doing here. I really liked the story they're telling. It has its strengths. It has a lot of very real strengths. We do get from Mallory, because they're going to go catch the super terrorist, and they get from Mallory where the ship that was shipping him was where it was being paid from, which is of course my hometown, Newark, New Jersey. That's where the supervillains are.
It's also where Batman's from, though, right? So
yeah, sometimes, yeah, depending on how you slice it, yeah, it's definitely Newark is.
I mean, after not wanting to believe it for a long time, the more and more things I see, I was like, man, you can't really argue that, really.
Yeah, well, I am inclined to think that it is, Gotham is a fictional place. Newark exists in the DC universe as its own place, as does New York City, separate from Metropolis.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, there is a New York City, and then there's a Metropolis, and they never really explain to you what the difference is between all these places, but, they are separate, but, definitely Gotham was inspired in many ways. It's meant to be, I think, an amalgam of New York City and Newark, New Jersey, and several other places in New Jersey, because, when they were designing it, they were going on the train from...
Chicago also feels very Gotham-y.
Oh, yeah. Yes. Well, it is. It is. I mean, a lot of places are. Big cities kind of have the same feel. Toronto kind of is Gotham-y when you get there, you know?
That's a fair point.
You know? I love Toronto. Not as many superheroes in Toronto, though. Which is one of those odd things. I do find it weird that Vought hasn't, like, done more to franchise superheroes outside of the U.S.
Well, it also seems strange to me that, you know, this is akin to nuclear power, right? And other countries aren't scrambling to figure out how it was done or to farm their own people to see if they can find, if they think it is natural to find instances of that in their own people or nothing. And no, there's no, you know, wild programs anywhere or anything like that. And then maybe there were and they were not successful, but now they definitely are going to be because Homelander put all that out there.
Well, yeah, exactly. I mean, this is what Edgar basically yells at him about, that, you know, you're so stupid, you know?
Yeah.
He's like, you know, you have no idea what you screwed up with all this, you know? We had a thing going, we had a plan, there was something we were working with, and you have screwed that up. Yeah. So, you know, thanks, Homelander. And that's the thing. Yeah, I mean, it would be, you know, it is. I'm certain there are other countries that have been. I mean, certainly the Russians would have been. I mean, this is basically Watchmen all over again. But then again, it's also possible that Russia was aware and has their own line on things. We don't know because we don't really get that sense of where they're at. And of course, by this point in history, you know, we only know what has been done and what has not been done. We know that, you know, probably, you know, there were Nazi versions of superheroes as well, you know, because since we know that Vought was from the good old fatherland. And I guess at some point in season 3 we are going to see Soldier Boy, who was the Captain America
for the Nazis.
No, for the U.S.
Oh, okay.
Because what they say is that Vought comes to the U.S. in 44. And then the first thing he does is he creates Soldier Boy, who...
Oh, so Soldier Boy might also be hiding under a fake identity as a random little-time superhero in some state and will like be activated as an agent when they need him.
Yeah, or he's like retired, you know? I mean, he might be this, you know, guy from the 40s who was just a kid from Brooklyn. And after the war, he maybe did some superheroing. But, you know, after like 40 years of it, he was like, you know, I need to relax and settle down. You know,
I want to know what...
circuit.
Yeah, that kind of brings me back to, like, what is Stan Edgar's background? I want to see his backstory. How did he get here?
Well, my theory is that similar to what's his name? Ultimate Nick Fury. He was experimented on against his will. And my theory is that he was a US POW who was experimented on because he got shipped to Vought's camp. Or he was a U.S. soldier who got experimented on by Vought when he changed sides in 1944. You know, so anything is possible. But I like the idea of him as a captured U.S. soldier who gets experimented on and then gains powers, and that because that's my theory. That's my fan theory, and we'll see what happens. But yeah, because I do feel that he probably has powers, but it may be that he has no powers. He just is confident because he knows how reliant everyone is on Vought as a company.
Right.
You know, and that, you know, even if we don't have a way to stop Homelander, we know that Homelander probably can't order a sandwich by himself. You know, that Homelander, like, would be, you know, like, if he did not have Vought to take care of him, would just completely disassociate and, you know, probably wind up, well, you know, I have a fan theory, which if you listen to our sister show, Capes and Lunatics and Super Connectivity, you will hear what my hope is for the Deep for season 3. But yeah, I get the feeling that Homelander is is someone who would have a very hard time if Vought wasn't there for him. Because, for what it's worth, yes, he has near limitless superpowers, but that doesn't mean he has limitless superpowers. He is as Arthur says, his power is nigh invulnerability. Do you know what nigh means? It means not. His power is he's not invulnerable, and that is, I think, the case with Homelander here, is that he is not invulnerable. He thinks he is, but not for nothing. We don't know if because he has super hearing too. If that old box him in the ears trick would be really devastating for him as well, in the same way it is for the Incredible Hulk. That actually, that's one of these weird things that they realize, because they usually do it with Janet Van Dyne. They have her shrink down, fly into the Hulk's ear, and shoot his inner ear.
Oh, wow.
With
her stingers. Off of equilibrium?
Yeah, exactly. It just drives them nuts. And then when Batman and the Hulk face off in a great little crossover, Batman just boxes his ears, and he's like, ah! So yeah, I mean, it's not an unheard of thing, and that may be a vulnerability to Homelander too. And it may be one of these kinds of things that no one has ever tried to box his ears before, but that if someone ever did, he'd be like freaking blind spot on the floor, just like
Yeah. Although maybe his eardrums are super strong as well.
Well, you see, but that's sort of this thing, because it goes to the idea of if his, and this is sort of what you get into with the idea of why Translucent was soft on the inside. Because if his skin was that hard on the inside, his organs wouldn't function. So for example, if your inner ear is impervious to damage, it's not going to be super sensitive. Because essentially,
I see. Oh, that makes a lot of sense.
It's the fact that the bones in your ear vibrate and move that allows you to hear things that you can hear things. You can hear a pin drop on the other side of the planet. Suggests that your ears are super, super sensitive, and
so maybe they're super delicate.
They could be. That a sonic weapon could be devastating in certain ways.
That is a fascinating concept. That there is that other seesawing end to the superpowers.
Mm-hmm. Now, it's not always it's super sensitive, and so, if I shout at you, it's going to deafen you, because clearly noises are going on around him all the time, and it's not like he freaks out by it. So, obviously, there is a level to which he is able to maintain, hearing everything around him, and you get the similar thing with Daredevil and other people like that. But if you did a direct attack on his ears, that might be a place of weakness,
Interesting.
I mean, there's all sorts of things that could be a place of weakness, and that is sort of what you get there. In fact, I think there was something, some YouTube about ways to kill Homelander, and they the image. I haven't watched it, but the image is they have a stick of dynamite shoved in his ear. So that could work. Yeah. So it is quite the show.
And then we also get to actually meet the super terrorist.
Oh yes, the super terrorist. Yes, because as we said, they go to where the super terrorist is supposed to be hanging out, which is this party shop in Newark. Kimiko kills the old guy on duty, but it turns out that he's actually part of the Shining, the glorious Shining Path terrorist cell, and that he's actually the guy that was doing the experiments on Kimiko and her brother. So that's how she knew him, and they're like, "Oh, you know him?" And she's like, "Yep, I knew this. I knew this dude. This is the guy who, hurt me." And then when they see when her brother comes in there, she hugs him, and suddenly Huey realizes that's her brother. And Frenchie realizes, oh, that's her brother. That's what she was trying to tell me. Writing boy, girl, and they get it. And meanwhile, Butcher's there, click, 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 getting his gun ready with the elephant round. And then, of course, Huey stops him because Huey's like, don't kill him. He's not, first off, because he isn't even really a super terrorist yet. Yeah, he blew up that boat, but we don't see anyone get killed in the blowing up of the boat. And the fact of the matter is that these were the people who were smuggling him into the country. These were obviously other terrorists that were sneaking him in. Right. So him smashing the boat doesn't make him a terrorist.
Right. He was just in self-defense.
Exactly. So Huey does make the right call here. Butcher makes the wrong call. But then, of course, when she shoots it, then, the guy uses his amazing telekinetic abilities to knock them all down and then goes on the run, chased by Kimiko. And, they're trying to communicate. Well, they do get to a point where they get away and they do have a nice heart-to-heart. But then Kimiko realizes that her brother actually has gone over to the dark side. He absolutely embraces what the, shining glorious path has told them. Yeah. That, the Americans and their superheroes are dangerous. They're destroying the world. They control everything. We have to fight back. And that is kind of how it ends with the fight. Well, then we get a big fight. And then it's big fight, big fight, big fight. You get Kimiko versus her brother. This is a very... It's hard when siblings fight like that, But obviously they've got to work through it. They've got to get through the battle to get to the other side to deal with it. And in that fight, obviously they're smashing things are getting torn up, and I wonder how much they're pulling punches with each other throughout this.
Right.
Because Kimiko really is trying to say, my friends will help you. Yes, we had a misunderstanding. Yes, Butcher is a jerk. Butcher's always a jerk. Don't worry about that. Right.
And the other thing, she's really just trying to save him because his mission can only lead to his death. It's like he's a suicide bomber,
Yeah.
He must know that there's no way that he can, go about this path and not have the new environment that surrounds him destroy him. She's just trying to save his life. She's like, look, stop. You can't win this one. Be my brother again. Don't be an instrument of the golden circle or whatever. Be my brother. And that's what she's really fighting for.
But you know what? At the end of the day, I think that suicide bomber concept is apt because I get the feeling that it is literally that, as he says, our parents are dead. The village is destroyed. There's nowhere for us to go, because everything she says, we can go live with grandma and grandpa in Japan and da-da-da-da. It's like, no, this is, it is in its own way kind of a suicidal ideation he has. He just wants to have his death have meaning is what I would say.
Yeah.
And he doesn't want to live, but he doesn't want to just go out. He wants to go out. Being lasered by Homelander unless he gets to kill Homelander first.
Right.
Which who knows, he might have, and that's always this thing is if he had trained a little more with his powers, had he really developed his powers, if he had
just listened to Kimiko and said, hey, we're aligned here. Our goal is to kill Homelander too. Why don't you join our side? You can't do it by yourself, but we can all maybe do it together.
Yeah. And but again, like I said, I think that he just wasn't thinking straight.
Yeah.
And I think it was exactly that suicide bomber ideation. It was this idea, I want to do this because I don't really, it's not about living for me. It's about doing this thing. So
if I'm going to be selfish enough to kill myself, let me at least, be able to give something to somebody through my death.
Exactly. And that's, and it ends with, she's got him in the sleeper hold and knocks him out. And then the van drives up, they tie up his hands, which I got to say this, it's pretty interesting that they figured out that he needs his hands free to do this.
She might have known it all along. Maybe that's why they knew to do it, because she grew up with
except she can't tell that to anyone. And
maybe she just started doing it. She's like, oh no. She just was like, okay, she's stronger than me. She does what she wants if she wants to, and she knows him. So
maybe that's. I mean, he does. It's like clearly he does that. That's his focus. Right. What the real question is that if he had practiced with his powers more, would he have grown beyond that?
Yeah, no, I agree.
That's the thing. It's like, what exactly could he have done had he not been so rash to just jump into battle? But then we wouldn't have a story now, would we, Mozz? Right. All right, Mozz. Any final thoughts on tonight's episode?
Oh, the other thing I think that is important is the Deep having his psychiatric session, and then they give him hallucinogenic drugs.
Yes.
And he really gets to explore like why he feels he's not worthy, or why he hates himself, or what he thinks he's not good enough for, and why he's a freak, and all these things. And his gills start talking to him. Man, that's a powerful, pardon the pun, deep scene.
Yeah, I mean, it is great. Although it's one of these weird things, and we all love Patton Oswalt, who does the voice of it here. But at the same time, it's also, yes, it is the Deep working through his own stuff. But it's also the Deep's own mind. So it's not like he's criticizing himself on the surface level, but there probably is deeper qualities to it than that. Right. It's like, he lashes out because he's afraid, but then maybe there's more to it beyond that too. So I think
it's just all the voices in his head that talk bad about him getting a physical voice. So they're not sort of underneath the ocean anymore. They're out in your face. So he has to confront the voices like, hey, buddy, you hate yourself. And should you? Let's examine that question. And he's never had to confront that. It's always been under the surface. So he didn't have to pay attention to it. And he could just let the effects of his self-hatred express themselves to the world. And now he has to confront. He's like, hey, buddy, you hate yourself. Let's figure out why. Maybe do you need to hate yourself? I think that's the conversation he's having, and that was really interesting.
Yeah, and honestly, that scene, like I said, it is. I'm ashamed that I forgot to mention it. There's so much that goes on because that was one of those scenes that really did. It blew up the internet the day after it dropped, and not just because it's Patton Oswalt, but also just because it is a really it's a powerful thing, and it is the Deep dealing with all of his self-loathing and the fact that, he has gills and it's weird to have gills, and he is not really, it makes him feel separate from the world because, unlike Namor or, Arthur Curry, Aquaman, there's not a, I'm sorry, what?
Not just separate, but like ashamed.
Well, but it's that what it is for Namor or Aquaman, there is a world underneath the ocean that they are a part of. The Deep, he has everything that someone in that world would have, but there's no world for him to be a part of. It's like, yes, he can communicate with fish, but, and dolphins and other aquatic life. I wonder if that expands to otters, or beavers or things like that. It's like semi-aquatic mammals. Since the fully aquatic mammals he can speak with, I wonder if the semi-aquatic mammals do. And then if you're going to talk to a beaver, can you talk to a bear?
And by that, right, cows and whales are related somewhere along the way. Can he talk to cows?
Exactly. There may be a lot more going on here, but because he gets, it's sort of this idea that you get stuck in your own mindset of what your powers are, and that's sort of like the reason why Kimiko's brother needs his hands free. He probably doesn't, but he sees it that it's my hands that do this, but probably it's something completely unrelated to his hands that are doing it. You know? So what we're going to get next, we'll have to see. It's, but yeah, I mean, I would love to see the Deep find a family. He needs a found family, and he does not have a found family trope yet.
Yeah.
But, what his found family is going to be could be also a dark, twisted version of the found family trope, so maybe we shouldn't wish for it too fast. All right, Mozz. just a great show all around. I'm glad we're doing this.
Indeed.
And I can't wait to do more of it with you.
Indeed.
In the meantime, if you are listening to this show and enjoying this show, that's great. You might enjoy it more with a better set of headphones to listen to it on. For that, I recommend you go to tweakedaudio.com. Use the coupon code Southgate at checkout to get a discount on fine quality audio equipment from the good folks at Tweaked. Likewise, that coupon code, it's not just good there, it's good in many places like huntakiller.com, where that same coupon code Southgate will get you a discount on signing up with Hunt a Killer and helping Michelle Gray solve a cold case and maybe learning the mystery of the Blair Witch. That's something else. They got it there. Go to huntakiller.com. Check it out. See if that's for you. And if it is not, if it still is not what you're looking for, go down to our show notes. We have a link to this place called Amazon.com. I don't know if you've ever heard of it, Mozz. But Amazon.com, if you click on our links, it'll take you right there. And there you can buy pretty much anything else you could ever want, including Pod Life the Book, a book produced by the Southgate Media Group podcasters, where a number of us have written chapters about why we podcast and what it means to podcast and how podcasting has saved their lives, and other deep and moving and powerful stories. So highly recommend you check that out. It is available both in paperback and in digital download for your Kindle. And in the meantime, if anyone does that or does anything else, how can they tell you about it, Mozz?
Oh, they can email me at mozzmanzor@gmail.com or find me on Facebook under Mozz Manzor. That's MOZZMANZOOR.
And, of course, you can always write to me in that old-fashioned email with Mozz and Poz once did at superconnectivityblog@gmail.com. That's superconnectivityblog, all one word, at gmail.com. And, of course, follow me on the Twitters. I live tweet things. Lovecraft Country, when it was on, I'm going to try and do it. I'm looking for something else because by the time this airs, the final episode of Lovecraft Country will have aired. We treat it when it comes back out, but until then, give me a recommendation. Tweet at me.
Raised by Wolves?
It has to be a live tweet.
Oh, fair enough.
See, I don't just go. That's what I use Facebook for. If I want to talk about something that's streaming, I go to Facebook. But the whole point of Twitter is it's live. Do it live. And so give me your ideas for something to live tweet that is on TV on a regular time that I can live tweet. And then I have to stay up for it and do it. So probably anything that is like, before 6 o'clock on an afternoon is perfect. Before I have my tea and oatmeal. Okay. And to follow me there, that is at Charlie Esser. That's CharlieEssser. Look for the 2 E's in the middle.
For quality. Bing!
Thank you, Mozz. All right, me hearties. You've sailed the soggy seas of streaming content with me and Mozz once again. Please come aboard next week as we once again sail full stream ahead. Arr.